adding specifically Jenny Durkin. Mayor Jenny Durkin. Philanthropy is screwing us at Seattle Foundation. And sometimes allies are screwing us either intentionally or unintentionally by donating to these institutions. So we need to be start talking about solidarity instead of allyship. I'll be walking through these neighborhoods and white folks coming out with their phones, filming me, trying to get me doxxed and shit.
Oh.
And they say, "Oh, I believe in the movement. I'm an ally. I believe in the values and the concepts," but then they don't march with us. Mm-hmm. Their actions don't reflect that. So they're just allies. To me, it's about solidarity. I'm done with the allies. Cool allies, bye-bye though, you're not here. I need solidarity. Solidarity means unity. And unity is solid, firm, unwavering, pursuing our shared objectives. And I think sometimes the liberals will call this a purity test. That's whack. That means they just don't want to be held accountable. Say accountability.
Accountability.
No, this is not a purity test. This is about solidarity. You need to stand with me, solid, firm, unwavering. When we say defund the SPD by 50%, doesn't mean 5%, doesn't mean 10%, doesn't mean 25%, doesn't mean 35.5%, and it sure doesn't mean 49.9%. It means 50% at least. And to me, solidarity also means everyone taking part in reaching our shared objectives and equitable treatment from our institutions. So if you are an ally, Black Lives Matter, yeah, ally, but you don't show up and you put pressure on your institutions, then you're not being in solidarity with the movement. You're not in solidarity with black folks. You're not doing your part. Another aspect of solidarity, I know everyone's back at work now. I'm back at work, sucks. But the good thing is, we're working class folks. And every organization and company that we're a part of is held on the backs of workers. We sustain our economy. We sustain everything that goes on. We're the ones who make the value. We're the ones who make corporations profits. We're the ones who are giving billions of dollars to Jeff Bezos and other billionaires. That's all built on us, on our pain, blood, sweat, etc. We're the workers. Woo! So I'm talking to you workers. You should be talking to your co-workers in solidarity with this movement. Bring this shit up at work. I know it's uncomfortable, but bring it up. Because you spend too much of your life at work to just not talk about it. You're not being in solidarity. You're being an ally. You show up sometimes, but then at work, you're real quiet about your values. No, be in solidarity. Talk to your co-workers. Organize action in your workplaces. Unionize your workplaces. Build some collective power amongst yourselves. We're the workers. We hold up the whole economy, the whole world. And demand a response from your company or your organization. It can't just be y'all that are holding values. You make up your organizations and your companies. Your company should be responding to the moment at hand. And demand accountability, of course. And this goes to folks who work at the Seattle Foundation. Demand accountability from your workplace. If you're an ally that works at the Seattle Foundation and you think this is disturbing how much money that's given to this SPD, demand accountability from your workplace at all employees at Seattle Foundation. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up now with the demands again. Number 1, no charity for cops. No more donations to the SPD. Number 2, pay the fee.
Pay the fee.
Give $1.6 million to BIPOC community organizers immediately. Number 3, Seattle Foundation should dramatically increase the amount of money and grants given to BIPOC community organizers. No more 3% of 5%. That's whack. We're not doing that. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Black Lives Matter. Black Trans Lives Matter. Solidarity.
Wow. Thank you so much, Wes. Let's give it up one more time for Wes. Wes helps us out in the Seattle Bike Brigade and the Black Collective Voice. I meant to say that before they went on stage. Thanks so much, Wes. And before we bring on our next speaker, I want to just go ahead and mention a few more things about the Seattle Police Foundation, who is funded by the Seattle Foundation. I know, similar names, kind of frustrating, but it's the Seattle Foundation that uses the guise of philanthropy in order to keep funding the Seattle Police Foundation, which allows for all the brutality to occur. So the Seattle Police Foundation drives the militarization of police by providing riot gear, surveillance equipment outside of our democratic governance and oversight. Boo. They have seemingly innocuous grants programs toward canines and bikes that have historically disproportionately harmed Black people.
Yeah.
The canines they use to subdue, handcuff, and bite 2 to 3 times the force of normal dogs, causing serious and permanent injuries. The Seattle Police Foundation pays for this and the crowd control equipment, and the bikes they use specifically, they pick heavier ones to create more damage. So the Seattle Police Foundation is a form of legalized bribery. Companies with contracts to provide equipment and services, they use it to lobby the SPD. Companies like Axon, Motorola, Microsoft, Versatarum. It ain't right, people. And that's why we're here today. That's what we're talking about. And I would like to next invite our next speaker to the stage, Sherae LaSalle, an organizer and advocate for stigmatized populations, candidate for Washington's 43rd LD. Give it for Sherae!
I'm not very good at this. And also, I'll be honest, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here for what we're here for right now. Does anyone want to join me in a how messed up? Let's talk about how messed up it is that we have to be here in the first place. I'm so happy that I'm here with you today. I'm so happy that so many people showed up when we didn't know how the weather was going and when we're still detoxing from toxic air.
Yep.
But I'll be honest, I haven't fully detoxed from the toxic air. I also haven't fully detoxed from the pursuit we're on. I still don't have my footing every day as to what I'm going to be doing in support of liberation. I have an idea, but I'm never sure other than we can't stop. And I know Kylia talked about what it's like to work in a nonprofit where you're there because you care so deeply about the work that you take scraps and you figure out how to make ends meet on the other end because you're afraid to break the minimum that you have to give back to the community. You're afraid to speak up, to say we deserve more to do this work. I think the term is don't bite the hand that feeds you. And I'll be honest, I work with multiple nonprofits that have received funds from the Seattle Foundation. So I'm not just sick to my stomach with not knowing what's coming in the future. I'm not sick to my stomach just with the smoke that I have been breathing for the last 2 weeks. I'm sick to my stomach with the work that I do in stigmatized and criminalized populations might not be possible if we hold the organizations and the foundations that are accountable to where the money comes from and where else they put their money. They might stop. But that's the position they want us in. Yep. They want us in a position of not being able to speak up for ourselves. They want us in a position of not being to ask where the money came from and where it goes other than ourselves. They don't want us collecting together, building power, and saying, hey, that's messed up, and we need to move forward together. So I imagine there are a lot of people that work at nonprofits that have received money from the Seattle Foundation that might be afraid to show up today. might be afraid to speak up about it online or at work because of the little help that they do get that allows them to do their important work in community and the fear of losing that ability to help their community. So I'll be honest, I'm up here shaking and sweating because what might happen to the people that are dependent and accountable, that I'm accountable to bring in resources so that we can do our work. What might happen by saying, no more charity to cops, Seattle Foundation. We shouldn't have to be terrified of our own survival and the survivals of others. Simply because we asked them to stop putting money into backing violence against our communities. So I'll reiterate, I don't want to be here. And I don't want to be here again over and over and over, but I will be. Will you be here with me?
Yeah! Woo!
So we also had Wes talk about how philanthropy under-resources communities of color and makes us more and more dependent on philanthropy. What it also does is enables government institutions to not do their fair share of the work that they claim that they are doing for our safety and health. So let's be honest, it's not just Seattle Foundation that's the problem, deciding to give more money to the Foundation for the SPD versus Black and Brown community organizations. It's also the failure of our electeds for not doing what is necessary for the communities to be resourced to take care of their own safety. Instead of looking at that, they say, well, have you heard of this list of foundations that does great work in the community? Maybe you can make up the difference. Just write a few grants. But I'll be honest, the orgs that I work for, no one has a salary.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that every penny of the few dollars we do have directly affects community members. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I would like you to say it with me on the second time. We're tired of the breadcrumbs.
We're tired.
Turn. We're tired of the breadcrumbs. One more time. We're tired of the breadcrumbs. And the second part is, we want the whole damn loaf.
We want the whole damn loaf.
One more time.
We want the whole damn loaf.
We're tired of the breadcrumbs.
We're tired of the breadcrumbs.
We want the whole damn loaf.
We want the whole damn loaf.
No charity for cops.
No charity for cops.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Sherae. Everybody give it up for Sherae South.
Yeah!
So Sherae is currently running, and they have a campaign event next Saturday, which you can sign up and get more details for in the back tent, right in the back there. If you want to help support Sherae, hit up the tent, hit up the clipboard. You know what to do. All right, let's go back to talking about the Seattle Foundation. Big baddies. The Seattle Foundation manages more than $1 billion in donor-advised funds. That's $1 billion fucking dollars. It's a lot of money, okay? And its assets have roughly doubled since 2010.
Yep.
Annually, it spends just 10% on grants. And again, less than 3% of that goes to BIPOC-focused community organizations, with even less going to Black and Indigenous groups. I would like to invite our next speaker on stage, who is a community organizer, tech worker, and lifelong Seattleite. And they are also an Afro-socialist with me and help co-chair, beloved Ninya Cairo.
Yay!
How's everyone doing?
Woo!
Man, it's great to be out in the fresh air. I'm gonna take this mask off. I'm feeling muffled. There we go. Thank you all for coming out. Really, I appreciate it. And it's important to know why we're here. What? No charity for who? No charity for who?
Cops!
Divest from the SPD.
Yes!
Now, I think it's pretty funny, as a treasurer, how the Seattle Foundation is structured. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how the Seattle Foundation, which manages over $1 billion in assets, is allowed to function the way it does. Because when we hear charity, we think of very benevolent giving, right? It's just, oh wow, Jeff Bezos is curing homelessness by donating $1 million. You know that's not true.
Yeah.
So there's a PR aspect, but there's also a way that Seattle Foundation exists in itself. Sherae mentioned that it's a failure of government. It's a failure of the people and the political will. There's an actual door that's open where government should be filling it. Healthcare for all. Do we have that?
No.
Clean and sustainable energy, 100% clean and sustainable energy. Do we have that?
No.
Do we still extract fossil fuels? Prioritizing fossil fuels over the planet that we actually sit on Earth. We prioritize that still. Now, who makes those decisions? Do we make those decisions?
No.
No. Capitalism is inherently an undemocratic system. I'll say it again.
Yes.
Capitalism, the economic system that we're in right now, is an undemocratic system. When you go to work, how many people have gone to work for someone else? A lot of people, right? How many people have been able to make the decisions for the company? Right, but you produce the work, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that democratic?
No.
So the people who are making the decisions, who are able to get rich off of all of our labor, we're not paid the full share. The people who are stealing from us, those are the people who make the decisions, fund people like the Seattle Foundation's institution that prioritize their interests. Are Jeff Bezos' interests our interests?
No.
Damn no. It's really interesting because capitalism needs police. So it's actually no surprise that the Seattle Foundation is the top donor to the Seattle Police Foundation. Because if we all rise up, which they're worried about, if Jeff Bezos has $200 billion and there's millions in a warehouse producing that value, is it conceptual to say that that is an unjust and undemocratic system and people should rise together and band up? One person cannot take on 100,000 people at once, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you need police to break those strikes.
Right.
You need police to stifle solidarity, to divide us. We've seen that all through this uprising right now.
Yes.
So let's make it very clear that police exist to uphold capitalism, to protect private property.
Woo!
So when you hear billionaires say, oh, I have the most philanthropic donor base, we're actually super charitable, that charity is not for you.
That's right.
That's for them.
Yeah.
And the Seattle Foundation upholds that while claiming that they support BIPOC communities. While they claim that they're actually for climate justice. I think Wes made a really good point earlier, And as a treasurer, I really like to see the numbers. So I'm going to read some numbers off here too and really reiterate. And I'm going to ask if that's democratic or not. The Seattle Foundation quietly spends $110 million annually representing the interests of rich white male donors. Is that democratic?
No!
Do we have any say in that?
No!
Giving $217,000 in 1 year alone to the Seattle Police, more than parks and libraries combined. Is that democratic?
No!
Giving $635,000 in grants to evangelical groups that promote a homophobic, anti-science, anti-abortion agenda. Is that democratic?
No!
Is that what we want?
No!
No. Spending only 3% of their annual charitable giving on BIPOC-led group and use that as their token. Meanwhile, they're advancing their own interests directly at odds with the people. That is why cops are funded so much by the Seattle Foundation, because they work for their donors. But if they're going to claim that they're for climate justice, claim that they're for us, for the workers, for black and brown communities and indigenous communities, they need to put their damn money where their mouth is.
Yeah!
That's why we're calling for the Seattle Foundation to divest from SPD completely. When we say pay the fee, that's reparations for a long time of shutting us out, saying we can just fix a grant here and there, while being invested in the interests of capital and not of people. And we need to move on this system of capital to a better world, to a place where we look out for each other in solidarity, not just symbolically, but materially. So it's important that we're all here today. We're looking out for each other during this pandemic, and it's only going to get more challenging. We got to be thinking about not only what's going to affect us, but what's going to affect the people around us. Because of course we have more in common than we do apart, right?
Yeah.
As workers, we do. So what we're going to do, divest in who?
SPD!
Divest in who?
SPD!
And reinvest in BIPOC community.
Yeah!
So I'll leave you with that, y'all. The struggle continues. It doesn't happen overnight. But us here now raising collective consciousness, coming together, and realizing that police are not just out here just doing their thing separately from private property and business owners at stake. There is a big fundamental reason why this is happening. And when we say dismantling capitalism, dismantling the prison industrial complex, dismantling SPD, ultimately abolishing it. When we say defund, we really want to abolish it, y'all. All of those things are fundamentally connected and not separate. So this project has to aim at the forces of capital, which is what we're doing right now. So we're just going to keep fighting, right? No justice!
No peace!
No racist!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
Louder! No racist!
Police!
Thank you very much. Solidarity, y'all.
Munya, that's incredible. Munya, thank you so much. Let's take a moment to celebrate them. They have served as a campaign worker and treasurer for Sean Scott's 2019 City Council campaign, and they currently serve as treasurer of Seattle DSA, elected local council, and advisor of Afro-Social Caucus and People of Color Caucus. Blech. Thank you so much, Munya. You're very celebrating. And as a part of our protest, we have to keep our spirits high. Part of keeping our spirits high is enjoying dance, music. We have a very special guest today. The Rise of Action Band, they are here.